Good Tuesday evening to everyone out there in the card universe. This is Hobby Hotline Overtime, our Tuesday edition. My name's John Newman, battling a little cold, but doing all right from Sports Card Nation. Also joining me tonight from StaleGum.com, Chris Harris. And below him on the screen there, breakout cards, Ryan Noland. I don't know, pretty quiet in the world of hobby, but we'll figure out something to talk about. But uh, Ryan just came from the Dallas show, and some news came out of there,
It seemed
and
like
I
a very eventful show.
Just a
So
little
yeah.
bit.
Let me put on the link here on the bottom if anyone would like to call in and join us. As always, you're more than welcome. I'll also put it in the chat room as well. But our first thing is, fake slab surface in Dallas. I'll put that for our banner here. And Ryan was there, so I'm going to let him kind of give the background, what happened, what cards were involved, where it took place, all that stuff. He's right on top of it. So I'm gonna acquiesce to Ryan. So what happened? I guess for a
Yeah.
simpler way of
So
putting it.
before we talk about Dallas, people have to know the origin story of how this all ended up happening. So, first, people said this is an isolated incident, that these guys are innocent. That is not true, at least in my opinion. I can't legally obviously say that they're guilty, but this starts all the way back. At least the earliest I know is in September at one of the card shows in Las Vegas. I think it was the Industry Summit. And this guy ends up selling or putting in a trade a fake Tom Brady, the same exact Tom Brady serial number and certification that was at the Dallas card show, but put that into a trade for someone and they got duped. Next time that happened, again, another Las Vegas card show, the Las Vegas card show, not the Industry Summit, same type of situation happened. So two Brady's already the same from 2000 graded as 10s that were fake slabs. Now, how I got introduced to this story back in November/December, one of my dealer friends, Jawad, ended up purchasing about 20K worth of fake slabs, Jordans and Tom Brady's. He listed those slabs on eBay, and people were telling him, hey, you're a scammer. All these slabs are fake. And he does a lot of inventory, like going in and out. So he messaged me. He's like, hey, man, people are telling me my cards are fake. What's going on? I know you know everything real or fake. Please let me know so I can help people because they're all claiming my Jordans are fake and trying to cancel me. And I took a look at his Jordans in person the next week at the Orlando card show. And I noticed that there is discrepancies on the case. And I did a full video talking about the discrepancies, but a TLDR, these cases had a different material. They were very slippery. You could slide your fingers over them compared to a real PSA case. You could also hear the cracking of a PSA case if you put it around your ear. You could crack it versus a real one. You can't. You could also actually slide your fingernail underneath these fake cases. But what happened is these scammers put it in a plastic sleeve around the case. So you have no idea. You just feel the plastic sleeve. You think it looks good from far away because they have both a lighthouse and older slab generations, which people aren't familiar with the older slab generations. But if you see a lighthouse, you assume it's automatically real because it's a security measure. And they scammed him for it. And I heard nothing about the story for about 2 months. And fast forward to the Dallas card show. At trade night, these guys pawned off two fake slabs. There was a LeBron 2003 Topps rookie, and there's a 2000 Tom Brady rookie. And I know there's some reports also about the Mike Baker sticker cards with the Jordans inside them. Mike Baker graded 7 Jordan cards of theirs that day. So come up with your own theory on why you think these guys were getting Jordan cards authenticated when they were having some fake slabs in the background. But anyways, they were the fake cards were the two slabs. They sent it to this guy at the show, and the guy ended up trying to trade it with someone else, and that person noticed that the cards were fake. So he went to the security guard or one of the managers of the show, the floor trade show, and they shut down the entire room. And it wasn't the original guy that bought the slabs that was calling out scammer, like people were saying on social media. He went to the security guard / manager in charge, and it escalated from there to the mob scene that we saw all online. So after that, the cops got involved. They were talking to the two guys. The two guys tried showing the Mike Baker stuff, showing like, hey, these Jordans are real. We're selling real cards. We don't have any fakes, but conveniently wouldn't talk about the PSA slabs. Confirmed it with a few people. That's what happened in that situation. And one of them ended up trying to book it. And obviously, if you're innocent with real cards, why are you trying to book it out of the Dallas card show? So that happened. And people were online, had a bunch of conflicting stories. In fact, I was first told that they were selling fake Jordan shoes and Jordan Mike Baker stickers, that someone replicated a fake sticker at the trade show night. And that's what happened, before talking to many, many different sources and finding that out. But luckily, Jawad, the one dealer I was talking about earlier from Clearwater, recognized those two guys as well that scammed him and alerted the security guard. So Jawad was able to piece together that these guys were at the Clearwater show and scammed him, and also at the Dallas card show. Confirmed it with the guy that got scammed at the Dallas card show. Then I started reaching out to people. I found someone that went to the Las Vegas card show, scammed by the same people. And when I made the video, I had two other people reach out. One other person went to the industry summit or another show in Vegas a few months earlier. And there was another person that almost bought an example of that Tom Brady at the Philly card show. So we know it's been 4 different states, 5 shows all the way from the East to West Coast. And these guys also are from Florida.
It's crazy, Ryan. I'm gonna put up a picture. Tell me if this is accurate. Is this one of the person? Let me pull it up before I. It's gonna cover us, but you'll be able to see it.
The one that's down on the ground, yeah. So the two people, the one that got arrested down there, and the other one also apparently was in the back of the cop car.
Okay, so there's two. I'll use
Two
the term
people.
gentlemen.
Yeah. So
yeah, go ahead.
what happened? They worked together, and I'll tell you, for example, at the Clearwater card show, they worked in tandem. The first person went to the table and sold about $10,000 worth of cards, and then his partner came back 30 minutes later and sold another 8,000. So they're waiting to see who they can scam, and they'll scam them twice.
Well, I'm hoping, this is the problem. Unless the penalties are severe, it's. I mean, it's never probably going to stop in general, but you gotta really make these penalties severe to deter. The grading companies, they also have to stay one step ahead. Now, with these fake slabs, Ryan, were they just taking like the serial number from an existing, let's say, Jordan rookie, and just using that on
That's
the
correct.
fake? Okay,
So what they would do is they'd create the slab, so when you can scan it, the same type of slab would show up online. So if someone scans the Jordan, they'll see it's Jordan with the lighthouse. And unless you look at the minor details or know why that card is fake, then they think they got a real card because it scans and there's a picture available to them.
Yep, good question here from David Wright, which I was going to ask you, but he says it right here. What has your dealer friend Jawad done with the fake slabs he got scammed on? Any retribution or compensation? How did that wind up?
There's no compensation for him yet. There has to be a lawsuit involved with it. He alerted authorities, and also PSA is aware of what's going on as well. They have their own stuff that they're working behind the scenes.
Yeah,
that's all I can say about that, though.
Yep. So those are like they took them as evidence, I'm assuming.
No, he actually still has the slabs with him.
Okay, but they know about them. They got all.
Yeah, he filed a police report and filed with other agencies as well.
All right. Do you know with the two gentlemen? Obviously, they're arrested. Do you know what charges if have been filed? Do you know any specifics?
I don't know specifics, but they're actually released as well from Dallas. The charges got dropped because the guy at Dallas card show got paid his money back.
Okay, so they're not being prosecuted
at the moment. Being prosecuted, but there are stuff working behind the scenes.
Okay, so may not right now. It's kind of maybe nothing going, but they're building the case potentially.
Correct.
Okay. Well, man, I can just speak. I hope I like to think. You shouldn't be able to get away with that just because someone got their money back, right? It's like, when I was a kid, I got in trouble. Sure, I said sorry, but I still got punished.
Well,
So I mean, this is crazy, and obviously with the 2 years, I call them the boom years. People are gonna do this stuff. What I mean, you wrote the book Spotting Fake, so this is right in your wheelhouse. I mean, as someone who knows about this stuff, what do you want to see? How do we stop this from happening and continuing? In your
there has
opinion,
to be someone has to be made an example of that's selling and creating these fake slabs. Obviously, if you sell a fake slab, you don't know for sure if that person manufactured it or not. But in this case, these guys, like, I'm fairly confident, at least in my opinion, that they were the ones that were creating the slabs, or they had someone really closely related to them, a ring of people that were creating the slabs, and they were selling them off.
So
It's not an isolated incident when you have the same exact serial number as card shows of the same exact card. And PSA even confiscated one of the examples of that card, put a huge X in it, and put a hole in it because they verified that card was fake. Yet the same exact slab comes out in perfect condition at other shows.
So, what should collectors be looking for in a fake slab? I realize that this is probably just limited to a small subset of cards, like you mentioned Jordan rookies, Tom Brady rookies. I know there have been in the past fake slabs, fake Lucas slabs. What should we be looking for if we're in the market for one of these cards and we see one in a display case? How do we know what we're buying is real or not?
So you really have to authenticate the slab and the card within it. So in the past, you used to be able just to see a slab and just think it's perfectly done, authenticated already. But we're to the point where you have to authenticate the slab. So look at the minor details on the slab. Try to see if you can pull up a picture online for that slab generation. At least on PSA, they've had between like 6 and 10 different generations of slabs where there's minor detail differences between both, whether it's like the dots or the lines within the plastic itself, the fonts that are on the flip at the very top, the minor details on like the red borders on the flips. Like there's so many different small minor details that you have to line up. Not all the fakes are perfect on that side of things. So if you can authenticate the slab, then you can look at the card within it. And again, look at real examples of card. What I've noticed the most with fake cards is like shadows, colors are always off, especially on like the face or any other body parts. Either it's way too dark or way too light. So you can start taking a look at those in comparison. Obviously, having a picture in different lighting can change things. You have to be careful with that side of things. But you can start looking at the smaller, minor details on the cards and try to match them up. If it doesn't match up, walk away. You can always find a card over again. If it's too good to be true, that's probably the
Yeah,
case.
yeah. And in the comment, yeah, these are mostly PSA slabs, right?
Yeah, so there has been fake BGS slabs, and
Yes,
that
and
was the
I
whole
think that was the
controversy
Luca
without the
rookie that emerged
yeah, so
last summer.
that was the one without the dot at the bottom, but
Yes,
I think
yes.
something ended up happening because I haven't heard much about BGS fake slabs being out here the last few months. So either BGS caught the guy, some FBI or some other organization caught the guy. Don't know what happened, but I have not seen other BGS slabs pop in the market.
so here's another thing: the Mike Baker authentication. Great. Now, when I heard about this, and you probably know more about it, when he's actually grading the card himself and the grade, right? He's actually kind of grading on the
Correct.
grader in a sense,
Yes.
which to me, and Mike Baker might be the nicest guy in the world. And everything I've heard about him is that
Well,
case, but
let me
it's
clarify it. He has two
yeah.
different types of gradings. He has a raw card grading, and then he also has slab grading. So his raw card grading is like a Beckett raw review. Let's say you have a card and you want to eventually send it to a PSA or SGC or BGS, and you want to get it raw graded before you get it slabbed up. He has that service, and then he has a service where you take him a slab and then he'll put a sticker on it based off of its eye appeal, because not all cards are created equal. A 5 or a 6. There's some nicer 6s than others, especially on the vintage side of things. The cards that were in question were raw cards that were brought to trade night by the two scammers. But the cards that were brought by the Mike Baker, that had the Mike Baker sticker on them, were 100% real cards. I talked to Mike, and he confirmed that both the cards are real and the stickers are real. My theory is they cracked out those out of PSA slabs and are going to use the flips towards their next generation of fakes that are out there, since the flips were the reason why they got caught these past few times. Now, that's just my theory that I'm throwing out there. I don't know for sure, but that's what I'm thinking, that they were
Well,
able to
I
get them
mean,
well reviewed and then sell them off at the card show or other card shows.
I don't know but Mike Baker personally, Ryan, but I mean, you probably expect him to say that, like, "Hey, I what I graded was the real thing." I mean, you think there's any chance he got fooled? I mean, obviously, it's all speculation that even something, slipped by him potentially. I mean, like an honest mistake. I'm not accusing him of wrongdoing. I'm just saying maybe the fake was that good where even he, you know what I mean, was fooled and put his sort of seal of approval on it.
Well, so I'm not going to say 100% no, but Mike Baker was the head of PSA and had his own grading company of JAI, which was very trustworthy. So I'd put those odds pretty close to zero just because of how much experience he has. I think he's the one person in this hobby that can definitely say a card's real or fake based off of how many cards he's graded, how many cards he's authenticated.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I mean it's been a bit when it comes to authentication. It's not been a good week. We saw the GI Joe case, which was
Yeah.
which was had an outside wrapping of first series
The card
Pokerman,
exchange.
Pokemon, and it turned out to be GI Joe. And this is how crazy this hobby is. After that happened, GI Joe cards
They went
uh,
up,
went up.
up, up,
Nothing
and up.
happened. Like GI Joe didn't hit a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth to win the game to warrant a price raise. I don't know if there are any GI Joe rookie cards per se, but they got a bounce based on the whole, probably just the attention that the whole incident got. There's people even saying that whole thing was staged and there's not 100% genuine. I don't know how you stage. I mean, the BBCE guys are really look
He looked
bad.
really bad on that
Yeah,
one.
that really, I mean, look terrible. So he's got to try to repair his rep there, and here again and this is not the first time, as we all know, that fake slabs have surfaced. It's just the latest time, and unfortunately, it's going to happen again, right? It's a comment that was up in the comments, but it's true. With the hobby and the greed in the hobby and the prices of some of these cards, even with some of the corrections going on now, people are going to do unscrupulous things to make money the fast and criminal way.
The
And
allure of perceived easy money attracts a lot of bad people. So
yeah, it's I don't know what you do. And for as great of the 2 years as we had, guys, in the hobby, and all the news reports were what cards were selling for, baseball cards are cool again, to steal a quote from Josh Luber. And now this year's kind of feeling like it's going to be the year where all the other, it's kind of the yin and yang, right? All the bad stuff is going to be reported in the news.
all the carnies are coming in.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. We're only 18 days in and everything that's already happened. I mean,
I-
like it's felt like this news cycle has been just a few months, and I just realized it's the 18th. It's crazy.
Yeah, and in that whole thing, even with Paul, that thing was on one, not just hobby news. Obviously, gonna be a hot, but that was
Oh,
on.
mainstream.
Yeah. Anytime I open Google, like Google knows what you normally search for. It was at the top of every Google page I opened. It was like haunting me. Now
It was everywhere.
this isn't as big a story, but this is making the rounds too. And so now all the news, and we know store robberies are at an all-time high with break-ins, overnight smash and grabs. I mean, it's gotten to be like the wild. I used the term the other day. It's the hobby's gotten to be like the wild west. There's no regulation. There's never been, and it's just like everyone can try to do what they can, and hopefully good prevails. But right now, it's just a lot of negative stuff swirling, and for me, I'm going to just enjoy the hobby as I normally do. But as someone who's been doing this a long time, and Chris, I know too, it bothers me because it gives, for every bad story, you guys both know this, people in the chat room and watching know this, for every bad person, there's 1,000 great hobbyists, right? But we're not going to talk about the 999 good guys and women, right? We're going to talk about the it's like ratings, it's the train wreck phenomenon, right? And so the hobby's going to look bad, and if you care about the hobby and you love the hobby, have a passion for it, it's not a good thing, and it bothers me from that perspective. And it's sad to see it. I don't know. I get asked that all the time, guys. I'm sure maybe you do too. Is how do we stop it, John? What do we do? And I wish if I knew if there was like a just an easy answer, I'd be a very rich or richer man. So it's not that easy. You just
It'll
got to
never
do.
I was gonna say it'll never
Yeah.
stop because there's so many old slabs. Even if, let's say, PSA comes up with a new generation of slabs that you can't fake, you have all those past slabs out there already. I mean, there's still slabs graded from that first round with starting with the zeros and look really, really old. I mean, compared to what today,
Yeah,
but they're
with the
still
dot
out there.
matrix printing on it.
Yeah, they are still out there
They're out
with the
there.
crazy zeros and everything. I mean, heck, the Mantle PSA 10 is still an old generate or one of the
Yeah,
Mantle PSA 10s. There's a few out there, but the one that was in display this year or last year, I should say, at this point, still was an old generation of a PSA slab. It's not going anywhere. So to be able to correct all the slabs, it's impossible. There's always going to be counterfeits out of there. The whole thing is the education side of things.
Yeah, Peeps, Peeps breaks up a good point here, just like popular artwork, paintings and prints, big cards have been and likely always will be fake. We see that in the art world too. You read a story, someone thinks they have a real Monet, and someone examines it and breaks the bad news that sorry, sir, your Monet's a Fugazi. So yeah, you're right. You're right, Ryan. It's never going to go away. I think we, as collectors, as hobbyists, we just have to communicate, kind of look out for one another, what you're doing, even with your research, your book, not just the book, but your online and getting to the bottom of that stuff. Kudos to you for being that person. There's others too. I don't want to, but you're right there at the top of that list. I mean, if you're PSA or frankly any of the big time grading companies, this is not good. Even though it may not be you doing anything wrong directly, right? It's still, it's someone's being able to replicate what you're charging a lot of money to do, and it sort of, I don't want to, maybe devalues too strong of a word, but it definitely doesn't help your business out. And I know, I've had them on the show and different people from grading, and I'm told they're always working. They have a department with when it comes to this to try to stay ahead of the curve. There's got to be something more technology
and it's
wise.
in their best
Yeah.
interest to keep one step ahead of the con
So
artists too.
yeah,
Yeah,
I will confirm though. I did talk to one of the head of departments at PSA today. So we had a nice conversation about what was going on. So they are like, at least from what I saw, they're way ahead of the curve on a lot of different things, but we don't see it happening in front of our eyes because not everything is brought to light.
Yeah, and we don't like as hobbyists and collectors. We hear Fed. We heard at the 2019 National, the Feds were in plain clothes, walking the floor. Some people didn't like that. Others were like, hey, if they can, get rid of the bad guys, or that's good too. I kind of fall on that side of the aisle. But people who don't like sort of the feds involved. I mean, that might be the only way we can, never going to fully get rid of all this bad stuff, but maybe cut down on it to deter it. We're seeing stores again be, broken in. We saw in Bullpen, LA, it wasn't even an overnight break. They accosted the store manager and zip tied him and stole $1 million worth of inventory report, allegedly. I mean, I hate to say it, and I hope I'm wrong, guys, but someone, there's going to be someone killed, over something like this, whether it's in a house robbery or something, some of these folks, I don't know what you guys think of this too, Instagram, and not just Instagram, but I think that's the number one social media. It's a great place, right, to show off your collection, your inventory, millions of dollars worth of stuff. And just it makes me wonder if there's some unscrupulous people just see this stuff and say, "Where I got to find out where this person lives."
Yeah,
right? And
that's
again,
why I don't like posting a lot of my collection online. Yeah, I'll post a few cards when I get them, but I don't want people to know what I really have.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. I don't post. I mean, I'm not gonna lie and be a hypocrite. I post up my inventory, but like you said, not everything, and I don't want to ever. Someone could say, "Well, you have a weapon, you got cameras. It don't matter. I go to work too.
It's
I have
too
a,
risky already. Well,
Yeah.
my big concern, and this goes into card shows as well. And speaking of feds, there's a lot of dealers now that are only cash only. I already saw it at Dallas Card Show. People have signs up that says will not accept PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle because of $600 rule, cash only. So these guys are trying to skirt the system on it, which really hurts the collector because who's going to be bringing, let's say, $5,000-$10,000 to a show? Sure, there's some people that will do that, but for the average guy to bring that much cash to a show when everything is online nowadays. But the other thing too with card shows is people walk around with their carrying case with thousands upon thousands of dollars with cards, no security at all at majority of card shows. There are card shows that have security. Dallas had security, have cameras everywhere, but going across the country, there's so many card shows that have zero security at all. People are walking around with thousands of dollars in cash, thousands of dollars within their cards. Something is going to happen.
And good luck trying to get all that cash to the airport.
Yeah, like Rich just said, I've been in the national. What's in. I'm not talking about the dealer set up. I'm talking about the people walking around with their cases, their graded cases.
Yeah.
Some of those cases have $1 million. And here's the thing: if you're a bad guy, and again, I'm not promoting a crime. I'm just being honest with what I'm saying here. You can match a face from you see on social media and know, oh, that's that guy that has all those cards. You see him walking around with the case, right? Maybe he's not set up at the show. And again, I'm not wishing this. I hope it never happens. But you wait outside the show for that person, and you hold them up, and I know what they're gonna. Someone might say, well, you travel with your entourage, right? If y'all 7 of you leave,
easier said than done.
What are you gonna do? You know what I mean? With a weapon, you're gonna take your chance and go for it and hope you get to it before, if it's loaded, it goes off. I mean, are you willing? I guess some people would probably willing to take that risk with what's in their cases for sure. I'm sure some would. But man, what's it gonna? I just wait, and I hope I never hear it. But I think, it just makes you wonder if that's the next thing that happens, is someone's going to lose their life over cardboard and chrome. And it's scary, man. It's scary. And that's why, like Chris said, it's why I don't post a lot of I'll post a trickle of things here and every once in a while, but people are, making Christmas trees out of graded cards. And
I did one of those.
People wearing them.
Yeah, and I get it, man.
Then,
like, I get it. You're proud of your collection. Now, I'm not saying you're a bad guy for doing that. I'm just saying it sort of opens that door where if someone found out where you live, God forbid, and or I don't know. I just hope but that's the world we live in now. I mean, that's why they tell you on Facebook, right? If you're going on vacation for a week, don't ever talk about it when you come back. Don't advertise you're going away for a week. You're basically telling people, "Hey, my house is empty." You might have an alarm system and all that good stuff, but these people who do these crimes are not dummies. Some of them are. Some of them are, but they're not all dummies. And I don't know. I don't know the answer. It's a question I get asked quite often. Is John, what do you suggest? I did a show, one of my hobby quick hits about if I did a store today. I had a store back in the '90s. What would be different? I'd have one of those, industrial fire safes. I know Rex has one in the sports card shop as well. And while it might be a pain in the what to unload your showcases every night and put your inventory into that giant fire safe uh, and lock it up. But we're seeing a lot of these smash and grabs. They're only staying in the store, 5-10 minutes max. They're just busting the window out, grabbing stuff quick, and getting out of there quick. Those industrial fire safes would take hours, and if you already have an alarm system that goes to the local authorities, uh, that'll deter them. So that's number one. We're seeing windows now made with like shatterproof glass. So there are new technologies coming out. But
I
going
mean,
back to the great,
the
go
local
ahead.
card shop is going to we probably have to evolve into
They have
something
to,
like a jewelry store.
which is pretty sad if you think about it. How hobby everyone enjoys. You can buy cheap cards, but now it's gonna have to be you're locked inside. Can't enjoy walking inside. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, and going back to the graded cards, guys. These grading card companies, I know they got other problems too, like a backlog and they're overwhelmed, but they got to figure out something counterfeit, anti-counterfeit technology wise. You know, again, money's got that strip in it. Again, people can counterfeit money. Happens. We hear that all the time too. But there's got to be something more. What that is, I wish I had that answer. But there's got to be something more. They can do to maybe make it harder to do. And
Well,
when
I
I've
have
had
an
them on the show, they've said they're working on that stuff.
so I
But
have an idea, and
yeah,
I have no idea if they're doing this or not. Obviously, you know how PSA acquired that company for digital fingerprinting of all the cards. What if there's like a kiosk they put at card shows where you can check the digital fingerprint of the card in Slab and make sure it's authentic? Some type of machine or something like that that people can use. Has to be free of charge at that point, but check it in. Does the fingerprint of the slab in the card match what's in the database? It does. It confirms authenticity. But the problem also now lies is like someone steals a card out of the slab, they crack it, they put it into another third party grader. What happens there? They would have to have some type of digital fingerprinting method which can go through the other third party slabs, not just their own generation. I mean, I don't know how difficult that would be to develop, how expensive it would be. That's just a random idea I just had in the last 5 minutes.
it's just crazy, where we're at in the hobby. We're talking about, the stuff we are, but that's where we are when you're talking millions of dollars in cards, where one card is worth seven figures, and people are going to try to get ahead and not do it the legit way. And I just again, I just hope I hope no one seriously gets injured or worse. But unfortunately, it wouldn't. I hate to say, but it wouldn't even shock me anymore. To where these the brazenness. First it was just overnight robberies, and now it's just a store manager. Someone asked about the bullpen robbery. Did anyone ever get caught or charged? Not to my knowledge, but I don't want to say that. I think Kevin Jones asked. I didn't hear that the person was apprehended, so they're still on the large. You kind of mentioned, could it be an inside job? Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. Back in the day, I'm not going to tell the whole story. Back in Brooklyn, I worked for a pizza parlor, and the owner burned his own pizza parlor down for insurance money. and got caught. I was my job was over. I didn't do nothing wrong, but obviously with the pizza parlor burned down, I didn't have a job no more. I actually had to talk to the FBI about a few things, and I wasn't in any trouble. He got double-digit years in prison, and so yeah, people will do. I know firsthand, people will do crazy stuff for money. That's the inside job right there. That was
Especially if they
that was in
think they
Brooklyn.
can get away with it.
Yep, yep. So it's I don't know. I mean, we can. I don't know the answer. It's not going to go away. Let's be real. So if everyone thinks there's a magic pill, doesn't exist in this scenario. So, but cameras. But I just worry with the national. And it's the Super Bowl, the hobby. I just worry that something's going to happen at one of these, whether it be the national or even another big show, where someone coming out of
Trade
that,
night.
someone in their hotel room, a trade night, someone, if you know what hotel room someone's staying at, you knock on the door, room service, they open the door stupidly, you get it. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so that's how my mind. While I might not be a criminal, I've seen enough stuff that goes on. I know how those gears turn, and that's how I think, and I just hope and pray that we're just talking about it here, and it never actually comes to fruition. All right, guys, let's go to our next topic. Well, that was half the show, but another big one. This one is more recent. Uh, Giannis is
Oh
suing
boy.
Leaf. He's saying that he had a contract for 1 year, and that Leaf continued to, make autograph cards using his autograph in continuous years. And he also is claiming that they don't have permission to use his nickname, which is obviously everyone should know, the Greek Freak, which Leaf has put on the card. So I think it's the lawsuits in the millions of dollars. Giannis's track record with cards. A year or two ago, he posted on his social media some cards he had in his collection, I believe, air quotes, including some 101s that were caught, on film, on tape, and a lot of people are pointing to that when they're thinking about this lawsuit. So, what do we think with this? With the lawsuit here.
Oh man,
Oh,
camera. Hold on. I should be good still. I just need to let it cool down for a second.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you. Worst
All right,
case,
yeah.
we hear you.
So, what I think in general, I don't know what contract he initially signed, but what I heard is he did 1,000 signatures, and they have all the stickers still. So they spaced them out over the years. I think there's going to be probably some minor details that we find out within the next following weeks about the card itself, or not the card itself, but the initial contract on those signatures, whether or not Leaf was allowed to put those on additional cards. But what's interesting is I would have thought there had been some contract that at least put his name and likeness on a card year after year. Apparently not, unless I'm missing something from the whole lawsuit.
what?
What Giannis is saying is he only signed that's a 1 year deal. He was paid, just so you know, you can find this out. He was paid $8 a signature for 1,000. This will tell you how long ago it was. No one's getting that deal now with where his career's at. He got $8 a signature for 1,000 signatures. I believe they were. I don't think I'm incorrect. I think they were all sticker autos. So there's 1,000 sticker autos, and like you said, Ryan, I think Leaf, instead of just putting them all in 1 year's worth of Leaf products, use some and then just continued
Stretch it
to
out.
use them in other years' releases. And Giannis is saying, no, they should have been in 2013 only. I didn't sign up for 2014 or later, and I'm
For
I'm suing.
2022.
Yeah. And I guess I mean, his stance is definitely going to be like, hey, this was a 1 year deal, and I'm not an $8 a signature guy anymore when I signed that deal. And so those signatures will cost you more. You want to do another deal? Sure, we can go back to the negotiating table, but it's going to be a lot more than $8 an auto. And I think that's, inwardly, I think that's where it comes from. He's like, they're still using $8 autos in 2022. And I'm an MVP. I won an NBA championship, and those $8 days are in the rearview mirror. And it'll be interesting to see. I got to think there's a contract. The wording of the contract should really, really tell us everything we kind of need to know. And so, I don't know if it's just Giannis makes plenty of money. I don't think. I think the lawsuits from I don't quote me a million, a couple million. I don't think in the grand scheme of thing that's a big, it's a lot of money for anybody, but I don't think he needs that million or $2 million that bad. At least I hope not, based on what he's made over his career and other endorsement deals and card deals. So it'll be interesting. Brian's been pretty mum on it, Brian Gray, which I expect. A lot of times, you can't speak legally. Your lawyer tells you to not comment on the case. So going to be interesting to see. And it's not just the autos, guys. It's the fact that Giannis is saying that, that and you have to pay extra, even though it's his nickname that I'm sure he loves, the Greek Freak. A card company has to pay extra to actually use that on the product. So crazy.
Do you think that Brian James that Brian just put this out there, knowing full well he was going to get sued, just to get the publicity? Because now I've only met Brian Gray maybe once or twice, and this is just me. He seems like the kind of guy that would do that.
I'm not gonna lie, Chris. I'm not, to full disclosure, the thought creeped in my mind that maybe I don't know if he did it to want to be sued, but maybe he did it knowing this wasn't what he should
to get his name out there.
Yeah.
To get people like us talking about him and his products.
Yeah. So
not bad
I'll say this.
No such thing as bad publicity, right?
I don't know. I know very few people who want to be sued, even if it was just for $1, right? I mean, it's not a good look. You got to go to court. It's time consuming. Even if you win, people remember, oh, he got sued. So it's not something you really want attached to you. So I'll say this. I don't think he did it wanting to be, sued down the line. I think if worst case scenario, and again, this is speculative. I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just throwing it out there based on what you said, which I thought about too. I think maybe, I know we get some comments, Giannis needs to sign his cards, so the redemption, so we can get these back in the collector's hands. I agree. I'm waving the same flag with you guys, but maybe Giannis is right in the fact that this was supposed to be a 1-year deal. 1,000 autos, $8,000 for 2013. And maybe Brian knew that and said, you know what? At the time, he wasn't what we know him as today. He was a young potential superstar. And maybe Brian said, I'm going to hold some of these back, get him in some of these other products. He's not a superstar yet. Leaf is bigger at that time than Giannis. And maybe it sort of came back and bit him. Again, I'm not saying I know. I'm just throwing that as out there as could that be the case. And again, that's going to be in the contract. So if there's a contract, it should be worded as such. It should be really no gray area, no pun intended.
Did Giannis have autographs last year in Leaf, or was this cards rookie year, no other years, and then this year once again when those autos were found? That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, I can't answer that. I can only go by kind of memory. I'm pretty sure I've always seen like each year, maybe not a ton, maybe 25. I've seen it seems like there's Giannis stuff. Yeah, look it up.
So in 2020, he had some stuff in 2021 as well.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting point now. So why didn't he sue last year? Why didn't he sue all those years until 8 years from now or 9 years from now? It was what, rookie 2013 or 2012?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Why did he wait? Like, you know what I mean? But so you know how this goes, guys. Lawyers get involved. Sometimes it's the lawyer. You know, these players
They
have
don't care.
lawyers and accountants, and maybe it's the lawyers keeping tabs on stuff and saying, "Hey, are you seeing this? We're going to sue. We're going to sue this Leaf company." So I don't want to. I don't want to take Giannis off the hook completely, but sometimes lawyers are the ones that
Yeah.
initiate
I
a
seen that
lawsuit.
with like
So,
some Metallica cover bands. The lawyers sued them over using the Metallica cover band name. It's crazy.
yeah, I
Sometimes
mean,
these
I
lawyers will go
like
out
to
there and do it.
think I like to think Giannis is thinking about, you know, his performance on the court, and a lot of these players, especially once they get big, and where Giannis is now, have a staff, a team of whether it be lawyers, personal assistants, accountants, that handle a lot of this stuff. So, without knowing, I'm going to venture a guess. This is a lawyer, and I'm sure he told Giannis about, like, hey, we're going to be filing a lawsuit, just so you know, against this Leaf company. You signed a deal in 2013. They took advantage of you, held some of those autos back, and used them in future products. That was not what the original deal was for. I have the contract in my hand. And just so you know, in case, you know, someone asks you or you read about it, this is what we got going on. Don't comment on it as your lawyer. Please, no comment that. We're handling it. You know, I think it's probably one of those deals. So, yes, Giannis, sign your cards and get them back, but it may be his team, his handlers, that are really behind the litigation here. And a lot of cases, probably a good percentage, 60, 75%, especially with celebrities or athletes. I think a lot of times they come from the people who work for them and represent them rather than the celebrity or athlete himself. So that's my guess. You know, great point by Chris. Could have this been done, you know, intentionally to get some attention? You know, there's the old adage, right? There's, uh, you know, no bad any
No
publicity
such
is
thing
good
as
publicity.
bad publicity.
Publicity.
Yeah, you know, Brian. Listen, I don't want to. He's been on the show. I know I've met him a couple times. I don't know him super well, but I think you don't have to meet him that much to know he likes to talk. He likes the attention. Again, I'm not saying this was intentional. The contract really is going to sort of clear that up. What the wording is there, and so we may even find out if that contract says, hey, these are for 2013 only to be distributed in 2000, and that's the case, then you're probably going to get an out of court settlement quietly for whatever amount, a few more $1,000,000 or $1,000,000 or whatever works out to be. Um, you know, we I don't want to bring. I try to have an episode where we don't talk about Fanatics, but you know, if Fanatics is looking at Leaf as a potential another company they'd like to purchase or acquire, you know, I don't think this is helps the attractiveness. That doesn't mean it's a deal
what,
wouldn't
though?
still, yeah.
What
But
are
Well,
you getting with the Leaf?
yeah.
Well, if you can buy something cheap,
You're not
you
getting
know,
a license. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah. No, I hear you. But if they get them cheap, you know, the Leaf has some products that are you know, well regarded. Leaf metal, some of the celebrity stuff, they do a pretty good job on. We've
That's
seen,
what I like from
uh,
Leaf, all the celebrity
yeah.
stuff.
And
What
some
else
of that
is it?
stuff goes for crazy money. So, you know, I'm a Lady Gaga guy, and I can't afford one of them. Like, I probably could. I just don't want to pay what one of those things go for. So, but you know, so I don't know. It's going to be. I don't know if this story. I got a feeling, this, you know, there's going to be some sort of out of court settlement. I don't think the only way this to me this goes to court is that the contract is just kind of worded really poorly, where both sides can say it's in their favor, and then it's going to be up to a judge to decide that. But
And hey, at
if
that
that
point,
contract is to the point in specific, then this won't go to court. You know what I mean?
I'd say at what point also does Giannis go, it's not even worth my day at court or all the lawyer expenses too. It'll be like, as funny as enough. Imagine it just like a settlement where it's like, all right, 1,000 more autographs. Let's go.
Yeah.
At this rate.
Well, that's the thing. Well, that's the thing, Ryan. The usually the athlete or celebrity doesn't even have to be in the courtroom. Their representation is there. So they'll you know, the lawyer will say, hey, I'm you know, John Newman Esquire. I'll be representing my client Giannis today, and you know. So a lot, you know, if it's not a criminal trial where they don't actually have to testify and it's just contract stuff, they don't really have to be there, and they most likely wouldn't. And so, like I said, if the contract is pretty cut and dry, this won't even go to a courtroom. If it goes to a courtroom, what it tells me is that contract sort of kind of just not specific, where both sides can point and try to make an argument in their favor, both sides, and then it'll go to court for a judge to decide. And you know, you make a great point. Well, what's another million or two to Giannis? He can, you know, just do another commercial and make that right there. And you're right. I think it's the principle, right, to kind of state the to other potential, you know, products down the line, like honor the contract or we'll take you to court. It's not the money, it's the principle. So that's really the message in the lawsuit. So it'll be interesting. I don't think this story's going to have a lot of legs. I got a feeling we're gonna get, you know, something will pop up on our social media. Case has been, you know, this settled out of court.
Settled.
Yeah. Without a lot of times
buys into Leaf.
Yeah. A lot of times they don't even give like the terms. They just say it's settled. We never know like how much, who, you
terms
know, who
are
gave
confidential.
Yeah, it's sealed. So it may be one of those deals where we don't even get details. It just goes away, and that's the end of that. And that's if I was a bet, if I had a chip and had to put it on one side or the other, that's where I'd put my chip. But you know, it's another story, right? Like you said, Ryan, we're 18 days into 2022, and you know, the stories just keep coming. Just real quick, we got about 7 minutes left. I do card shows myself here in the New York area. We've seen prices come down. Ryan, this is geared, but Chris goes to the shows too. So this is to both of you. You know, we're seeing, you know, whatever you want to call it. You know, I've heard people call it a crash, other people call it correction. We've seen prices come down, comps come down, if you will. Not on everything, but on a good percentage of stuff. And the last couple shows I did, like I'll use the accurate where the market's at. I'm looking to sell when I do a show. I want to sell my stuff. I'm not a museum, you know. I mean, it's nice when people come to my case and say, "Ooh, oh, that's a nice card. How'd you get?" No, that's all cool, but I mean, I try to price my stuff where it has the potential to be attractive to sell. But we're seeing I'm getting a lot of stuff. And when I walked around the last couple shows, I'm noticing dealers kind of trying to get comps from, you know, the big the heyday, March of 21. And it's almost it's like, you know, it's like a car show, not a card show, CAR, you know, where you set up on a corner or in a lot and you show off your car, right? Look, I got this souped up engine. I redid the body. It's not really for sale. I mean, if someone wants to overpay, they might sell their car, but it's more to show it off. I'm getting that little bit of a feel, man, with card shows. And again, I don't want to paint with a broad brush. Card shows are all over the country, all over even in other countries. But I'm feeling like a lot of people are just kind of content, you know, overpricing their cards and just kind of showing their wares off. Maybe make some trades and cash deals. But, you know, Ryan, you've done 50 something shows the past year. Chris goes to shows. You agree with that kind of sentiment or what's going on, or how would you say what's going on?
This year, I had two opposite experiences. So first, at the Boston Causeway show, I was like all ultra modern, but all those guys' prices were extremely high across the board. I mean, I wouldn't say every single dealer, but there was a lot of people that were asking high comps, even on the vintage. One guy asked 5x on a comp where a card was going for 200, was selling it for 1,000. His quote: "You can't use past sales prices on eBay or PSA's website on this PSA slab. You have to use the Beckett book value on that. Modern wise, you have to use eBay prices because modern cards are based off of eBay." His words, not mine. And I don't think he realized that how cards are priced in Beckett is based off of condition as well. So when he's pricing a card at $1,000, it's saying it's supposed to be X or near mint, depending on obviously the decade when it's at. His PSA 2 is not an X or near mint card, so that should not be $1,000.
No.
But you see that stuff type of happening where people are trying to pull a fast one on you, and other shows, or I wouldn't say other shows, but other dealers are willing to make deals. Like at Dallas, there's people just liquidating stuff. It was nice because one dealer was like, "I'll do 50% off last comps on this type of stuff," and I was all right, buy. At that rate, why not? But there are some dealers at Dallas too that are asking for high comps, so it's kind of all over the place. Some people are liquidating, some people just want to get extremely high prices and don't want to move anything. In my opinion, if you bring a card to a show and you're there to move it, you can leave it in your PC if you want, and if you want to leave it in your PC, don't put a price on it. Otherwise, that's my opinion though.
Well,
Chris,
go
how
ahead,
about
John.
you?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, as a dealer, like I have stuff right in this room. There's you can't see it. There's an acrylic case right out of frame here that are PC cards. I don't bring them to the show because I don't plan on selling them. But if everything I bring to the show is priced, and it's priced to hopefully sell. Obviously, you don't sell every card you have unless you're rich. Klein, that's a story for another day. But
congrats, Rich.
yeah, but all joking aside, like I price, like if I'm gonna bring it, if I'm gonna pack it up, price it, I want to at least have a fair shot for someone to buy it. So I have cards I don't want to sell that I'm not going to bring. I have them right here, but in other places too in this room. So if what my show inventory is for sale and I price it accordingly. I've had people, I'm a friendly guy. I like to ask people, hey, is there anything you're looking for? Not everything's out because I don't have everything out. I have stuff in graded card cases and monster boxes, shoe boxes, and they'll ask for something. And, it may be something I have at home that I'm not selling. Sometimes I just I don't have it. Or if I know them real well, I might say, I have one, but it's at home. I'm just holding on to it, and I'm honest like that. So, but I don't bring it. I don't sort of tease, hey, look, I'm going to just overprice this because I don't want to sell it, but I want to, show it off. But again, to the dealers, you pay your table fee, right? You can do what you want. But to me, if with paying that table fee and the work that goes involved in it, I'm trying to make a few bucks. So I'm just going to try to price stuff to move, or I just don't bring it. I mean, there's stuff I think we all agree. There's certain cards we think are sort of comped. Like that comp's low on it. I don't know how it's like. I'll buy more. I'll buy more at the comps because I don't think it's going to stay at that. But I'm not going to bring that card. If I'm buying it for that sort of comp, I'm not going to bring the card and sell it at the same price. That doesn't make a whole lot of ROI sense. So that's my thing. I've just noticed a lot of people, and when my son comes to the show and then I get to walk around, and I like to buy stuff from even other dealers, but I'm just seeing prices where I'm like, are they showing the card off or do they want to sell it? Like, what's going on?
Also, it might be a little unpopular, but I think it also goes back to the show promoter to have quality control at their shows. As I was talking earlier with these sellers or dealers now that say they won't accept anything except for cash because they don't want to hit the IRS threshold of $600. That should not be happening at any show. If you see those type of tables, like as someone that would run a show, you got to say, come on, man. Like you have so much foot traffic that's not going to bring up that much cash. Should be getting rid of that. When you find out someone's doing 5x of a comp on cards across the board because they think it's worth more, you can't have those dealers there because you're going to have a bad experience from the people that walk to the show. And then they're going to say, man, this show sucked. The deal wouldn't accept PayPal. I can't buy any cards because they're 5x, and they're not going to come back ever to that show. You need to have foot traffic in there, or else people think that show is dead, and the dealers aren't going to make money, because there's some great dealers that will work with you. So I think there needs to be quality control, at least on that side of shows. There's so many shows out there that people can now. I mean, as someone that like goes out and promotes the show, you should have quality control within your show and weed out dealers that aren't going to accept PayPal or Venmo or Zelle because of that rule, and also ones that are asking absurd prices.
Yeah, but they're going to say, hey, I paid my table. You can't tell me what the price or what I can put out or not put out. And they'd be right. I may, while they might frustrate me as someone who likes to buy stuff too. And I don't disagree with what you're saying, Ryan. That's just going to be their crutch to fall back on. Hey, I paid, that's in a sense my admission, just like people pay admission to come into the show as consumers. They don't have to buy anything, right? They can walk around this convention hall and leave with buying nothing. Well, I paid my table. I don't have to sell anything. I paid what I needed
That
to pay.
is, oh, that's 100% true. I was talking about shows that are sold out and that have like wait lists. There's a lot of shows that sell out now because of the space, and how many people nowadays want to become a dealers because they realize how much opportunity there is.
Well, one thing, I mean, and we're coming down the home stretch here. One thing that bugs me as a dealer with a sales tax number who pays sales tax is the people who get to set up at these shows, and the promoters are not checking not checking sales tax numbers. So they're setting up without it, which is illegal, but it's happening. We can make the argument, the people walking around, not the dealers, but people walking around with those cases that go up to the table and selling their cards. Hey, you buying? And I bought from those folks too. Um, they're not most likely. I don't want to again pay with a broad brush. Those folks are probably not reporting, especially with cash. Hey, I just sold a $10,000 card last week, right? So you know that's the thing. I think we're hearing a lot about the government, the $600, the IRS, seeing what the hobby's done the last couple of years. They want they're going to have their hand out too. And as a dealer, that's my big bugaboo is. If you want to set up, that's great, man. This is America, but get your sales tax number, and that's on the promoter to make sure everybody has it.
Unless you're here in Delaware where we don't have a sales tax.
Well, that's the built-in loophole. That's not what I'm talking about. Chris,
I know.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, you go to shows. I mean, what are your observations with the current market?
I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing a lot fewer traffic at a lot of the shows that I go to regularly. There's one show up in northern Delaware that runs in a firehouse that's been running like once a month for like decades, and it kind of spiked there, the foot traffic about a year and a half ago, but it's starting to tail off, and you're starting to see the same old timers that you saw 5 years ago there. I think a lot of the new money that has gotten into the hobby over the last couple of years, a lot of these guys are now highly leveraged and are looking to liquidate some of their stock. So I still see a lot of that at card shows, but yeah, a lot of the it's funny. A lot of the points that I wanted to make, you guys made for me regarding card shows. So,
Well, I mean, a lot of it. Listen, not to take too much credit. I think even in the chat room, people are commenting kind of even before we bring some stuff up. I think it's just, if you're in the hobby, you know what's going on. A lot of it's sort of common sense and stuff that people see. I mean, there are a lot of smart people who see what's going on. It's there's not a whole lot of breaking news. It's just whatever the next story that's going to come about. So And Theodore Weathers mentioned, I'm seeing like young
The
kids
kids,
with those
that
cases sort
happens.
of fronting. I saw that
Pelly
for the first
boys. Ooh.
Yep.
I saw that at the last Syracuse show I did, which is not a big show, guys, and honestly, but I saw some young kids and I didn't buy anything from them. Um, they had some nice stuff in their cases, and then I wasn't like purposely watching them, but I just in just looking, I saw them go up to a couple older guys and give the cases to them, and so I first time I really saw that at a smaller type show. I know it happens at your bigger shows, but that Syracuse show is not a bigger show.
It
And so it really kind of surprised me that it was happening. Uh, I shouldn't really be surprised. I mean, the hobby's the hobby, but it's even in the smaller shows, it's still occurring. So
there's kids at some of the Florida shows that have $200,000, $300,000 displays just walking around. It's insane. Like you go in their case, like they have Jordan 9s, they have National Treasure RPAs, and you're like, how can you afford these cards, sir? And there's no way they do. It's obviously someone giving them the cards to sell, or someone saying, all right, try to make some deals happen because you're a kid.
yeah, and listen, that's we're not going to reopen that conversation, but a kid with 1/5 of $1 million a card inventory, talk about an easy mark if you're a bad seed, if you're of a criminal element, right? 14-year-old kid, and you're a bad dude with bad intent, and you know what that kid has in the case, even if it's not his Pelican case, even if he's like Theodore said, sort of fronting for someone else, you just come up, grab that thing, and try to hightail it out of there, you know. Or you wait, if it is the kid's cards or that young man's card, the young lady's card, you wait till they leave the show and cost them there. It's scary. It's one thing like hearing the shows in Syracuse. Here's a weird thing people don't. It's in the state fairgrounds, and you actually can drive into the building with your vehicle and park next to your tables with your vehicle and unload that way. And so for me,
That's convenient.
yeah. So at the end of the show, my son, who's 22, he doesn't stay the whole day. He comes like at lunchtime, brings me something to eat, and then closes the show with me. And then he'll go out to where I park my car because you got to obviously take your car out of the building and park it. But once the show's over, he drives the car back in, and then we load up all the cards and we get out of here. So, but that's nice. But if I was by myself and I had to walk, some of my, graded card cases from the convention center to where I parked, which is only what 300 feet, maybe 400 feet. A lot of stuff can happen in 300 or 400 feet. So it's just thoughts like that go in your mind. What what I envision, guys, and we got to wrap it up. I envision, like, they say, like, the president, the nuclear, I know a lot of the nuclear box is like handcuffed to his wrist. We're gonna see people walking around with like Pelican cases handcuffed to their wrist, so if you try to grab it and run, it's attached to them. Just I don't know, just how my
Man,
mind
I, I
works.
I
So
don't want to do that. I don't want to be walking around with handcuffed to my case when I go to all these card shows. I already have to carry the camera around. That's so annoying itself. I'm have to be like walking
now, do
around.
you bring stuff, Ryan, to the shows? Like, do you bring stuff to trade or sell yourself?
Yeah, I do. And just
Yeah.
because you never know what opportunities are there. I used to trade all the time, but now I'm kind of more of buying because I've seen a lot more dealers start to value their cards higher if you trade, which makes sense, right? Like if you're trying to trade for $1,000 card, they don't want to trade exactly $1,000. They want $1,200 so they can make money and make money once again, especially if they split up one card into 3 or 4 cards. It's more work. Why would they do that? So I'm now going towards buying it because why pay over 20 trade, negotiate down to 80 or 90%? That way it's a $300 swing.
Yeah, Lady Gaga's probably a little tougher than I am, John. But you ever like? I know you'll post like your pickups, but usually you're doing that after like you're home or whatever.
Yeah.
You ever worry about like if you're carrying a case or you have cards on your person? You ever is the thought ever? And plus now you're known, like people know who you are. Let's be honest. Is that thought ever something you think about?
It is always a thought in the back of my head. You never know what happens. I mean, some of them you just walk around cities. I mean, at least I do. We're trying to explore, so I try to at least secure the valuables if I'm walking around. But you never know. It's scary out there.
Funny comment from Canton. I got to put Ryan's a runner, so he can outrun the muggers trying to
I'm
get
out. I'm
him.
out of shape though, man. I can't get back to my 5 minute miles yet. I need to
Well,
get back to
listen,
it though.
you're better. Listen, my running days are over. Even though I still play softball, but I try to hit the ball far and off the fence or over the fence, so I don't have to run as fast. I still got a little bit of that in me. So, all right, guys. As Logan said, we're on hobby hotline overtime. Overtime.
Yep.
So
That's
we're
easy
at
to do.
110. Great show. A lot of great comments in the chat room. I tried to put as many as up as I could. Appreciate. I know I speak for all of us. Thank you for watching, for commenting. As always, anyone's welcome to call in at any time, and we'll be back on Saturday. I'm sure there'll be another hobby story or two.
Who's hosting Saturday?
I don't know. I know it's not me.
Hmm.
So I should have looked that up, but I don't know. I know it's probably I don't think it's any of us, but I do know it's Chris Carlin from Upper Deck, Jeremy Lee, and I apologize to the third person. I can't remember who it is, but I know those two. So
It'll be a good show.
all right. Yeah, Brian Gray should call in and we can talk about the
Someone has to send him that message.
Yeah.
Yep,
I don't think he likes me that much. When he was on the show, I kind of we went a little toe to toe, but that's all right. I'm gonna sleep all right tonight. So, all right, everybody. Again, thanks for watching. If you're listening to this on any of your favorite podcast platforms, we thank you as well. We're live Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, and Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And with that being said, we'll see you next week.
Keep on rocking and